The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast, where we spotlight industry leaders. I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and today we're excited to introduce Andrew Smejkal, a standout real estate agent with Midas International RE. Andrew has been making significant strides in the industry, currently managing 13 active property listings and having successfully sold 12 properties over the past year, totaling an impressive, over $5 million in sales. His ability to consistently deliver results for his clients speaks to his dedication and expertise in the market. So we're going to dive into Andrew's journey, what drives his success, and how he navigates the competitive world of real estate. So stay tuned as we uncover the strategies behind his achievements and learn more about what makes Andrew an icon in the real estate space. So welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So you've had some impressive success recently, but what initially inspired you to pursue a career in real estate?
Well, it was kind of funny. I came to the States about 30 years ago, and I was working at a deli, and one of the managers at the deli was doing some rehab. So he said, why don't you help me out? We'll do some rehab on houses. I'm like, why not? So I started helping him out, and I figured, you know what? It might not be such a bad idea to try and sell those houses. So I got myself a license way back in 1993. And I've been selling real estate ever since. I've been on my own now for about 25 years. I have my own company, and it's been going fairly okay.
Awesome. So can you share some, how your approach has evolved from when you sort of first started, and how has that shaped your current success?
Well, I started by doing strictly foreclosures. And back in the day, it was a little bit different than it is right now. They were just going, the recession. I mean, there were foreclosures. Government foreclosures are a very interesting, how shall I say, animal. A lot of those properties that I was dealing with was my broker, who I worked at the time, had the exclusive agreement with HUD, with the sector, with the HUD, and all the FHA foreclosures in Palm Beach County would be their listings. So I was dealing with basically properties that was all rehab, needed a lot of work, and it was a huge turnaround. The way it worked was they were being auctioned off every single week. And because the prices of the properties were so low compared to what everything else was selling for, you would have a gigantic amount of competition. So I was just writing contracts left and right. But to give an example, if the property was for sale for $60,000 and it needed $20,000 worth of work, and if it was worth $90,000 when it was rehabbed, the people would not offer 60 or 70. Some of them were offering $80,000, and explaining to somebody that, why do you have to offer 80 when they're asking 60, was just a little bit hard for me. So anyways, after dealing with this for about a year, I went into general real estate. I said, I just can't deal with this. It just was a little bit too much. I like it a little bit more, toned down. And I've been dealing with basically regular real estate ever since. And the part of me dealing with foreclosures all that time did actually help me with getting to know the market. And, basically when somebody's going to go with an agent down here, or anywhere for that matter, all that you're looking for is you want somebody who knows the market. Everybody right now, you can go on the internet, you can find out everything that's for sale, but you have no idea, is it a good deal or is it a bad deal? So being that I've been here for such a long time, the customers that I deal with recognize the fact that I know what I'm doing. And when they call me and they say, well, I would like to spend so much money and I would like this. And I said, what are you looking for? Location, what kind of amenities, what kind of a size? And based on what they tell me, I can tell them right away if this is going to work or if it's not going to work. And if it's not going to work, they tell them like you're going to have to make some adjustments in what your requirements are. And a lot of times when people tell me what they're looking for, I tell them down here, get ready for the gigantic disappointment because the market down in Southeast Florida, it's just crazy. We're not a location, we're a destination. Like, location would be, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of Florida, but Southeast, Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, everybody's coming down here. So it makes for a lot of good business. It makes for a lot of sales. And it makes, if you know what you're doing, you can do quite well.
Fantastic. So, well, you're obviously doing well. We've over 5 million in recent sales, just in recent sales. What do you think sets you apart in such a competitive market?
One of my agents retired about 10, 11 years ago, and he was handling an area up in Delray where he did a lot of rentals. And basically, none of the guys he was working wanted to deal with it. So he asked me as his boss, hey, do you want to take over? I said, of course. Rentals are basically, I shouldn't say it's easy money, but it certainly is much easier to deal with a rental when you do with than a resale. So for most realtors, they will deal with sales. Now, when the market is good and times are good, everybody does fantastic. I mean, they go in Florida, people say, when you're born, you get two things. You get a social security number and you get a real estate license because there's so many realtors in Florida. I've gone through these phases where you have had a huge increase in prices. I mean, the last one before the crisis of 2008 hit was back in the early 2000s where, you could basically buy a condo today, sell it 6 months later without touching it, you were making 20%. And I kept on saying, this is just, everybody says, look, the bubble's going to go. And I was just saying, this is not a healthy business. And basically the bubble broke. And it broke for everybody. And it was a really tough time. Basically, real estate, I had an office with over 60 agents, and basically pretty much every single one of them got out of jobs except for me and maybe a couple of other guys who stuck with me. And one of these agents was the one that was selling all these rentals, and I kind of fell into it. Was usually always doing everything, residential sales, residential rentals, but he kind of pushed on me the properties that he was handling with. And ever since, I've gone from handling some 20-some properties to over 40 properties in one specific areas. And I do maybe over 100 rentals per year, if not even more. The sales are actually, like for most people, you're going to say like the sales are where the money's at, and then the rentals is just the icing on the cake. For me, it's kind of 50-50. The rentals are fast. Obviously, don't make that much money. However, they are fast, and in times of crisis, they're a wonderful money maker. And again, I know my stuff. A lot of the things that I do also has to do with management. It's not just renting them out. You also manage the properties, and then a lot of these people they're looking to buy something, or they end up selling their properties, and it just keeps me busy. And I should keep track of what I'm doing. But according to one of my good friends who's a mortgage broker, told me, he says, do you know that you're number 17 in Palm Beach County? I'm like, I had no idea. So the thing is, like, you may say $5 million in sales is a lot of money, but, considering the fact that you have houses in Boca that sell for $40 million, it's not that big of a figure. It's the number of transactions. Now, I am certainly happy to sell you a $40 million house, but that doesn't happen every day. There's companies that specialize in this. It's just not my forte. I know where they are, I know what to do with them, but that's not the type of clientele that I will get. But yes, I'm always glad to see when somebody says like, oh, hey, you've done this. And yeah, I kind of fell into this in the last few years just because of what happened with my agents retiring. And I'm very grateful to him because reason why I'm doing so many transactions is because of what I've inherited from him. And it keeps me busy all the time. And I definitely am not complaining about it.
Right. Well, and it's well, there you go. Because the market, this year, last year has been difficult for some. So actually pivoting slightly and expanding your actual business was definitely a good thing for you. So how do you stay motivated and continue delivering outstanding results for your clients year after year, especially in the more recent times where things for a lot of realtors has been a little bit of a struggle.
You have to adapt. And again, most realtors, how shall I say? I tell this to everybody, and I mean, sue me if you want to. I go like 90% of us are all complete idiots. There's 10% of realtors that actually know what they're doing. 9 out of 10, I hate to say it, we're complete morons. I may fall into that category. I just like to think about myself that I do know my product. I've been doing it for a long time, and I know my area. So now I'm not going to pretend to know everything. I know my localized area, which is Boca Raton, Deerfield Beach, Delray Beach, Boynton Beach, which is like Southeast Florida. But going to, if you told me, I want to buy something in Miami, I'm looking for a building in Miami, I would say, like, I haven't got the slightest idea which building is a good building or bad. But if you look in the area over here, such as I just had a conversation with a customer of mine before you guys called me, he goes like, I'm from Iowa. I don't know what this is. What do you know about this building? And I'm like, well, the price is great, but you can never rent. You have a parking situation, and the units are too small. He goes like, I never would have guessed that. I know because that's what I do. So the other comment that I do get from my customers is like they like dealing with me because I don't like to oversell them. And I look at every property like, would I want to go into something like this? I mean, in a purchase, rentals are rentals. Rentals are fairly easy. You know which properties are good. When somebody gives you a price range, you can tell them like, this is what you're going to get. If this is not good enough for you, you're going to have to increase your price. So rentals are a bit faster around. But when you're purchasing a property, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest investment of your life. So I do like to give my 2 cents in. And I tell the people, listen, this is just me. It's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but I'm just telling you from all the years that I've been doing this, what my personal thought is on this. So if somebody says, I like this property, what do you think about it? I'm like, well, maybe it's too small. Maybe it's got the wrong view. Maybe the condo rules are too strict for what you're looking for and so on. And I usually, you can do a search right now and you pull up, 500 properties or so that are for sale in the area. And then it comes down to really fine tuning all of this thing. Turns out maybe 5 or 6 are actually decent and everything else is just crazy. All of it has to do with the market as well. The market has been so, up until a few months ago, the market was like, you could put basically a barn full of, dung for sale. And just because it is in the city of Boca, people are going to pay like crazy prices for it. I was shocked. I mean, really shocked. I had a customer of mine that was looking for something that he can invest into Airbnb. Airbnb is a really tough cookie, especially in the city of Boca. The city of Boca does not permit short-term rentals, believe it or not. So it's a little bit of a crazy thing because there's thousands of people that rent their properties in, during the winter season, and a lot of them do it also with Airbnb. But I told them, I said, stay out of Boca Raton because it's problematic. You should go to all the cities where, like Delray Beach, is a little bit easier to deal with when it comes to things like that. But anyways, I was just looking for some properties. When you do Airbnb, you can't have any homeowners association. You have to have, loose rules when it comes to things. And I'm looking for those properties, and I pull up this thing, 1,100 square feet. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's a tiny house. I mean, 1,100 square feet is 110 square meters. It's the size of a 2-bedroom condo, 2-bedroom apartment. And they're asking $750,000 for it. It's not on the water. It's nothing, but because it's in East Boca, because we are in East Boca, that's what they're paying. And it's mind-blowing to me because I've been here for a long time to see something like this going for that kind of money when 3 years ago, that same property was going for $300,000. Now, obviously, all of that, yeah, I know. Those things have changed right now. The market has kind of slowed down. Everybody's afraid. The election's coming up. And every time when there's an election coming up, everybody goes, depending on where you are, and it doesn't matter who you're for. But there's some people that go like, it's going to be a catastrophe. And then the other guy goes, it's going to be fantastic. And all I can tell you is from going through this from 30 years, nothing changes. Nothing changes. So there's nothing to do. I mean, any kind of policies that are put in order, the market is what it is. And luckily for us, luckily for me, we live in an area that is just so hot and it's nice. And people want to come here. And I try to take advantage of that, but at the same time, I'm not going to sell you a barn just because that's what your pocket, book lets you to do. And people do appreciate that because they go like, you're acting like you're buying it. I said, well, yeah, I'm acting like I'm buying because I want you after 5 years, when you decide you want to move on, to call me, not to say like, oh, there's that moron that, pushed it into buying this and now we can't do anything with it. So I'm always looking for what's going to be in the future and referrals. That's why I'm a small little guy. I'm not a big guy. I'm not a big corporate bank or anything like this, but I do okay.
Right.
And I
And
have diarrhea of the
what
mouth.
it's all about. That's what it's all about, is the long-term relationships.
That's
And
what it
that's what
is.
so many, they're not seeing. They're just seeing that initial transaction. So you
Yes.
said, I mean, like, yes, you've done really well. So, in transactions,
Yeah.
Wiles, how many transactions do you tend to do a year? I mean, you're a one-man band. How many could you do in a year?
Well, rentals, for example, will be over 100. Sales really depends, anywhere between 10 to 15. So it's
But
like I said,
that's amazing. That's keeping you very, very busy, right?
it does keep me occupied quite a bit, yes. But hey,
Mm.
I'm still young enough and I can rest later when I'm retired. But that's what I'm doing this for. I do enjoy. And luckily for me, I've reached a point where you know, I've been doing this from the time where there was no internet. So when the internet came up, people are going like, well, this is going to be really bad for real estate. And I tell everybody, listen, I go, I can pull up what's for sale exactly where you live. I can pull it up right now. It takes me 2 minutes to do it, but I will have no idea whether it's a good buy or not. Therefore, people still need professionals like ourselves to guide them. And
Always.
so we're always there's going to be a need for this. Now, how much we get compensated with that, with all the new rules and changes we had with the real estate in the last couple of months, I don't. All it is it goes back to the part that I said that 90% of us are complete idiots. So I don't know if you know about the rules with the real estate, the
No.
National Association of Realtors lost that
Yeah.
lawsuit. Okay, I can tell you I was involved with agents that would do exactly why we lost that lawsuit. When you have a property for sale, a perfect example. Let's say I have a property for sale, $700,000, and my owner tells me, if you bring me an offer tomorrow of 650, I'll take it. Now I am forbidden from telling somebody, give me an offer of 650. My owner will take it because my owner may be willing to do this today, that maybe he's got a fun night tonight or he got some good news about his job and whatever, and then the next day he doesn't think like that. But now I, being the idiot that I am, go to another agent who wants to put an offer on it, and I say, give me 650, I'll make sure my owner accepts it. That's a no. I would never do anything something like this. And because of this is why we have this issue going on, or this lawsuit, and we have all these rule changes with commissions and real estate and so on and so forth. I think the good thing about it is it's going to weed out a lot of the bad apples. Not all of them, but it's going to weed out a lot of the apples, and it's still going to be business as usual. That's all there is. They still need us. People need realtors. People think they know they know what they can do, they know what they're doing. I certainly am not going to argue with that, but it's kind of nice when you can pick up the phone and say like, "Hey, Andrew, I'm looking to buy this, and would like to know what your honest opinion is about it." And if you have somebody that will tell you their honest opinion, I think it's nice to have that rather than you pulling the trigger, paying $500,000, and then realizing 2 weeks later or 2 months later you made a mistake.
It's not. Yeah, definitely. 100%. So what's next for Andrew? What are your goals for next year?
Well, I'm actually quite happy doing what I'm doing. I used to have a bigger office. Now I only have a few agents that work for me or with me, I would say. I mean, it's always, broker relationship with realtors is kind of, I've been in a big office in the past, and I always tend to think of my agents as my colleagues, not my employees. They're not really employees, they're independent agents. So anyways, I like things the way they are. I don't think I'm going to be expanding. I don't care for office politics. I used to have that, and I'm too old to deal with that stuff, to put it nicely. The agents that I have are all seasoned agents. They know what they're doing, and really there's very little drama when it comes to that. So hopefully things stay the way they are. There's changes coming up. I've seen that the market has slowed down somewhat in the past few months, but until we have a gigantic upkeep or increase in the inventory, I think the prices are still going to stay the way they are. And the way I see things right now, there's been a little bit of an upkeep. Prices have gone down maybe a little bit, But we still, when you have, let's say, a development of 700 homes and there's 5 properties on the market or 10 properties on the market, that's 1%. You don't have to worry about any recession. But if you have a development of 100 homes and there's 10 for sale, then you have to worry. And I haven't seen that yet. I've seen that in 2005. I've seen it in 2006 and 2007, but we're not there right now. And there's so much equity in the properties right now, so that I really think that things are going to be okay. I don't think there's going to be fantastic or crazy like it was, and that's not healthy. I don't certainly I was against this. I can't control it, obviously, but it's like you cannot expect. One of my good friends said this perfectly. He was a stockbroker. He went out of it, and he's now a general contractor. And he says, Andrew, when my cleaning lady started to give me advice on stocks, is when I knew it was a good time to move out of stocks. And he says, no offense to the cleaning lady. My cleaning lady has a company. She does incredible. She's buying properties. But I go like he told me in 2009, he says, when the cleaning lady started to buy properties on spec, then I knew there was going to be a problem. And I don't see that yet. So I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, all the fear mongering. So yeah, don't listen to it. Don't listen. It'll all be okay. It'll all be okay.
I mean, I just need to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're right.
I was just going to say this. The market is extremely localized. So again, what I'm saying, what works down here doesn't necessarily mean that it works an hour up north from here. But that's the same with everything. So Boca Raton, Delray, Boynton, Fort Lauderdale, I think we're doing okay. The rest, well, it's not my market, so I don't know.
I'm sure it's all going to be great. It's all going to be great.
Yes, it is.
Not
Everything
get into
will be
the
wonderful.
Everything
will be wonderful.
So our final question, because here at Icons, we are the #1 real estate podcast network, and we are passionate about making podcasting accessible to everybody involved in the real estate business. So if you had your own podcast, what do you think you'd call it?
Well, I do have an Instagram name, and I kind of like it. So probably with Boca Drew's advice on real estate.
There you go. It's always got to be in alignment. So perfect. Absolutely perfect. So finally, if the listeners, if they're looking to buy or sell in your area, then how do they reach you? Where do they find you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is Midas Real Estate, and like the company, MIDAS, MidasRealEstate.com, and all my information is over there. It's a simple, stupid real estate website that only tells you about real estate, does not tell you what the weather is like or what's playing at the Cineplex, but it does tell you about real estate. So my information is over there in 7 different languages.
Oh, my goodness. There you go.
Well, let's took a few.
You're international. International.
Yes, I am. I can do French, German, all kinds. But thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time today. And to the listeners, I'll be back next time with the Icons of Real Estate. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.